Hey everyone, welcome to Go Midwest Fishing. My name's Randy, and I got a Mercury 135 horsepower motor behind me that won't run. So in today's video, we're going to see if we can't figure out why it's not working. Alright, quick disclaimer, I am not a marine technician. I've owned several boats and motors that I've done some minor maintenance work on, mostly Johnson and Evinrude's, but this is my first Mercury, and it is also the biggest motor I've ever owned. This is a project boat I just brought home yesterday, and I bought it, one, to see if I can't flip it and make some money off it, but two, I also want to learn some new skills. And this motor might require a complete teardown. I'm not sure yet, but I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot of new things by doing so. This is the first video in a series of videos I'm doing on restoring this boat and getting it ready for resale. If you'd like to follow along with the whole process, you can check out the playlist on my YouTube channel called Boat Project. Alright, since this is the first video, let's just start at the beginning. What do we know about this boat? I bought this off Facebook Marketplace for $1,500, boat, motor, and trailer. I do have the title for it. It is a 1979 Starcraft 18-foot boat with a 135 horsepower Mercury. It's a 1999. It's just the standard carbureted model. It is not like the Optimax with fuel injection, stuff like that. The guy I bought it from bought it as a project boat, and then he didn't have time to fix it up, so he sold it to me for a pretty good price. And the reason it was so cheap is obviously because the motor doesn't run. Now, I've looked up this motor online, and it is, according to the NATA guides, worth between $2,000 and $3,000. So if I can get this running, this motor right here will pay for itself right there. All right, here's what the guy I bought it from told me. He said it has low compression in one cylinder and that it did not start. And that's literally all I know about this motor. So the rest we're gonna have to find out just through observation and then checking it out ourselves. So let's start by removing the hood and seeing what's underneath. All right, to remove the hood, you got a little latch here you just undo and one in the front. And then just try to lift the whole thing off. This is the heaviest cover I've ever lifted because it's the biggest motor I've ever owned. While I got the cover off, time for a fun little fact. If you're ever stranded out on the water because your boat motor won't start due to a dead battery, there is an emergency pull rope inside your hood. So if we take a look on the inside here, there's a little baggie right here with a tow rope and a handle that you can wrap around your flywheel up here. I'm gonna have to take this cover off this one, and you can actually pull start these engines. All right, one of the most helpful things you can do before you start working on motors is get the service manual for it. It'll go through all the systems of the motor and actually tell you like how to take it apart and all the torque specifications, everything you need to know. I actually found the one for this one online. First I went to a site called TradeBit. You could buy them for $14.95. But then I actually found them for free. There's a site that had a bunch of manuals. I don't know, if they have them for all the models, but they had most of the Mercury models on there, and download that for free. So I'll put the link to where I found that in the description below so you can check that out. But in order to get the correct manual, you have to know the model number of the motor. And to find the model number, in this one here, we got a sticker right down here. But this one is completely blank. And what I'm noticing right off the bat with this motor is it's a clean motor. I mean, a little too clean maybe. It looks like it just had a fresh paint job, and the sticker there looks like they just took a new sticker and stuck it on there without any information on it. So the second backup choice here, if we go to the top of the motor, so here's the flywheel. Right next to that we got a silver plug, and it's got some numbers written on it. It's probably hard to see, they're stamped in there, but it's about I don't know, 10-digit number, something like that. So I plugged that number into the computer and it comes up as the, tells me it's a Mercury 135 horsepower and 1999, but didn't give a whole lot of information on it. So the rest of the information I just found by observing the motor. It is it's got carburetors on it, and there's basically only one model from 1999 to 1998 that have carbureted models. And the rest are like Optimax and DFI and like all these other things. They have fuel injection. Well, this one's not fuel injection, so it kind of eliminates all those, and it's the standard carbureted model. And I'm going to show you one more spot where you can find out information about this motor. If we look right there on the side of the air intake for the carburetors, we got a little plaque there. Now that one tells us the year, it says 1999. It also tells us the cc's, which is 1998, which at first I was like, what year is it? But then I realized it was the displacement of the engine, not the year. And then it says a family number, and by that number in the service manual it can tell you that it is a 1999 model, that it's, you know, spark ignition, it's a Mercury, and, you know, just some basic information. And before we begin, we're just going to do a once over the whole engine just to see if there's anything obvious. Are there any wires that are loose, hanging off? Are all the hoses where they're supposed to be? Everything in place? There's nothing, you know, obviously hanging out and disconnected, stuff like that. So here's a little bit closer look of the engine, and as you can see, I mean, it looks in good shape. All the wires are connected where they're supposed to be. It's super clean, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. So what it tells me is that either somebody just newly restored this engine and then took it out and then had a problem with it, or they tried to restore it and they never got it working again. So I'm not sure which one of those it is, but there isn't a speck of dirt on this thing. So now it looks like everything's where it's supposed to be. He said it had low compression in one cylinder, so the first thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to take this little cover off the flywheel and just make sure it turns, that nothing is seized up in there. Then I'm going to pull off all the spark plugs. I'm going to do a compression test just to verify that it is a low compression on one cylinder, and I have an endoscope. I can go in there and look around each cylinder to see if I see any scoring or anything that's damaged inside the cylinders. Just 3 plastic wing nuts to take this plastic cover off the top flywheel. That'll let us spin this by hand, make sure it's not seized up. Alright, off she comes. There you go. Looks nice and clean. And when you start taking things apart, make sure you keep track of where all the nuts and bolts and everything came from. So I'm just going to put these wing nuts back on where they came from. That way you don't lose them and you know where they belong. Alright, gloves on. Let's see if the motor turns. Flywheel's turning. Sounds a little squeaky, but motor's not seized up, so that's a good sign. Now this is a V6, so we got 3 cylinders on each side. So I'm going to pull off each one of the spark plugs, and we can see inside of there. And I notice all these spark plugs are just hand tight, so I don't know if they winterized it or whatever, but or just we're working on it, no idea. But first thing you do is check the condition of the spark plugs, and these are the surface plugs where they don't have the electrode sticking up. They're right flush, and they look like new plugs. And it looks like there's some oil there, so they might have, you know, fogged it or winterized it, which is a good sign. Alright, I'm just going to take out all 6 of these and then we'll start looking inside. Alright, all the plugs are out. I have a digital endoscope here, a little 3.5mm camera on the end. I'm just going to shove it down the cylinders and I can record so you can actually see what's in there. Alright, video is recording. Let's go in and take a look around the cylinders. And there you go, you can see the top of the piston head, the cylinder walls. And overall, there's top of the piston head, looks clean. I don't see anything broken off in there. Spin around a little. Alright, let's check the next one out. This one's a little closer up, so I'm going to have to turn the flywheel to see that one. Number 3. Look at the cylinder walls. Top of the pistons all look fairly clean. Go on this side here. This one's back down way so you can see. This one looks the roughest of all, which ain't even that bad, but we'll see if this one is the one with the low compression. We'll find out. You know? Yeah. Remarkably clean. Ooh, this one is too close up. Alright, I'm going to turn the flywheel and get a better look at those other couple ones. Alright, check these ones out again. Yeah, this one's down further now. You can get a better look at it. I mean, it looks clean. I don't see any broken pieces laying in there. A little close. Back to these again. This one's a little closer up now. Yeah, this top right one is the only one I see that looks a little rough. And yeah, it's the 2 cylinders. You can see the 2 cycles. You can see the ports there where the intake and the exhaust. There's no actual moving valves or anything in here. So if it was a 4-stroke, you might have some stuck valves, stuff like that. We don't have that issue with this one. All right, this one's too close up. This bottom one looks a little dirty too. I'm going to turn the flywheel one more time. Yeah, there, we get a little better look at it. Yeah, this one looks a little dirty. See all the black gunk in there? And this top one here too. So the top and bottom one are got some buildup in there. All the other ones are nice and shiny clean. So to my untrained eye, I'd say the top and bottom one on the right side, if any, would be the source of the problem. All right, now let's do the compression test and we can verify which cylinders aren't working. And for that you need a compression tester. And I haven't done this before, but from all the reviews I've read, it does matter which tester you have. And from what I see, do not buy the cheap one from Harbor Freight. Even though it looks really good, people had lots of complaints about it. But this one got good reviews. It's the Innova. It's the 4-piece one. It's for about 30 bucks. And so I went and got that. You can probably buy it at your local auto parts store, or I'll put a Amazon link to it down in the description below if you want to check that one out. Now to do a compression test, what you're going to want to do is warm up your engine first. I can't do that because the engine doesn't run. So we're going to do a cold test, but what will happen is you'll probably get slightly lower numbers than you would if it's warmed up. The other thing is you want to pull out all the spark plugs, and then you want to open up the throttle so it has maximum amount of air being able to get in there when you turn it over. And since you're turning it over, you should put the muffs on it, have water running in to help protect the water pump. So I'm going to have to pull it outside and hook it up to some water before I do this test. Alright, we got her outside. It's like 37 degrees out, so it's pretty chilly. I got the water muffs hooked up, batteries hooked up, got the gauge connected, and I got the throttle positioned open on the side there. And now I'm just going to go turn the key and do each cylinder and then record what it is, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, first one showing about 105. I'll do the rest. Alright, pulled her back inside. I did all 6 cylinders, and what you want is the compression in each cylinder to be within 10%. I think all of them be within 10% of each other. And I think we found the problem. So here's what I wrote down. Starting on the left side, got 107, 107, 108, looking beautiful. Went to the right side, 0, 0, and 0. Now, like I said, I'm no boat mechanic, but that ain't good. All right, the fact that it's this whole side has 0 compression, there's got to be something to that. So I'm going to go in and just research a little, see if I can't find a possible cause. But like I say, this engine looks super clean, and it almost looks like I can see a new gasket on this head gasket here, and actually on both sides. Let me see. Yeah, they both look like they've been apart, and I've had maintenance to them. So Time to do some research, look through the manuals and see if there'd be a cause that just this one side of the V has zero compression and the other side is just perfect. Alright, I discovered the whole internet and there's really nothing for like all 3 cylinders being zero compression. It's always, you know, one cylinder has low compression, and a lot of it's talking about automobiles and stuff that's not a 2-cycle outboard motor. So we gotta reason through this and try to troubleshoot it. So my reasoning is we got 3 on one side, so there's something common with all 3 of them. So I'm thinking, what could be a common denominator between all 3 having zero compression? And one thing comes to mind is the head gasket, because it's this whole thing covers this whole side. Although it looks like it's in good shape, I'm going to pull it off, and then we can take a good look at the head gasket, and we can tell if that could have been a cause. And then we can get a good look at all 3 cylinders too to see if there's any damage in there. I took the endoscope in there again and looked around, and I don't see anything obvious other than these ones being a little bit dirtier than the other side. Could be bad pistons, bad rings, but from what I can see with the endoscope, they look like they're in okay shape. So let's start by unbolting the head on this side and taking a look inside. And I did have one other thought, that maybe this side wasn't getting any oil. It's got an oil injection system, but after reviewing the schematics, the oil mixes with the gas in the fuel pump and then gets piped out to all 3 carburetors. So they all have the same gas fuel mixture. So I don't see how that could only affect one side. So I'm going to rule out that for now as being the problem, and open it up and see if we can't get any more clues. Let me see if I can get away with just bolting it without taking all this stuff off. It looks like I can get to most of the stuff and just slide that out and see if I need to take apart more after I'm done. Those are on there pretty good. Alright, some of these bolts were quite stubborn. I had to get out some breaker bars and stuff. And there's 4 bolts on both this little back electrical panel here, so just move that out of the way to get to the bolts a little easier. Okay, one last bolt, and then we'll see if this head comes off. I was trying to take it off earlier and couldn't get it off, and I realized there's a hidden bolt there I didn't see. Alright, last one. Now will it come off? Yep, now it comes off a lot easier. Alright, first peek at the cylinders. Alright, just taking a quick look at the gasket. See if you get a little light on it. Gasket looks good. I got a couple marks there where I was trying to pry it open earlier, but doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the gasket. Alright, let's get a closer look at the pistons. Trying to get some light on there for you. Again, they got a little bit of oil and stuff built up on them, but nothing stands out right at the moment. I'll take a closer look here. Alright, getting a flashlight in there. And man, they all look pretty good. I'll turn it here so I can see them better. Alright, let's turn this by hand and see how they look going up and down. A little bit of play on it. I don't know how much there should be. I know they're supposed to be pretty tight. And the last one. I don't know, I'm not real sure how much play there's supposed to be, but they're in there pretty good. Just a little bit of wiggle. I'll have to see how much wiggle, because I can move it a little bit. Alright, this is the bottom cylinder, and if I can get the light in there. There it is. I do see some scraping on the side right there, so there's some bad piston in there, some bad rings or something. Should not be scraping like that. Alright, looking at the top cylinder now, I can see some scraping on the top one also. And I can actually feel it. When I run my finger in there, I can actually feel the ridges through my glove even. So time to take apart the power head, I think, and rebore all the cylinders and maybe buy a whole rebuild kit. Comes with, you know, pistons, rings, bearings, all that stuff. So I think we'll do it and make a whole new motor out of it. Alright, so I already decided I'm going to have to do a complete rebuild on this motor, so let's take apart the other head too to see what this side looks like. Just took all the bolts out, for sure, yep. This side ain't coming off as easy as the other one. Alright, here it comes off. Ooh. Quick look at the head gasket. This one looks just as good as the other side. Right there. Get that out of the way. The last time I just took my gloved finger here and I ran around and I could feel the grooves in the side. Nothing there. It feels nice and smooth. Good. Yeah, this side feels good. So it definitely was the pistons on the right side, scoring up the walls. It's probably got, let me see how, yeah, these are about as loose as the other ones. So that was probably okay. I'm guessing the rings on the piston are bad on the other side. Yeah. So if this side's good and has the same kind of play as the other one when I move the pistons, it tells me it's just probably bad rings. Scored up the sides, I don't know. So if I'm going to rebuild though, I'm just going to do all 6 cylinders, and while I'm at it, put in all bearings. It comes as a kit as like everything, so I'll make it like a brand new motor. So for now, we'll end this video here and follow along with the series. You can go to the boat project playlist on YouTube and you'll see the entire project here. So next I'm just going to be taking apart the power head and getting it all isolated so I can bring it in and have it rebored out. Like I said before, this is kind of a learning project. I've learned a lot about Mercury motors already in the last couple days, and this is the first time I've actually opened up the inside of the boat motor engines to see the power heads and the pistons and everything, and it's kind of cool to see how it all operates. And if I can do it, you can do it too, so follow along with me as I tear this whole thing apart and we'll learn together. Alright, see you in the next video.